Olivia, you're a literary agent at the Madeline Milburn Agency. Can you give us an idea of what your job involves?
I represent a range of fiction and non-fiction, mainly fiction for me. And my job is to represent those authors, to strike deals for them with publishing houses and to kind of support them throughout their careers. It's quite a many faceted job. So when I first take an author on, it's my job to work with them to edit their work, to kind of work out what the right pitching is, where that book kind of sits on a shelf, and to position it so that when I present it to publishers, they really kind of understand the author's book and kind of how to take it through to publication. Then it's my job to strike deals with the right publishing houses, to negotiate those deals, to do the kind of contractual work for my authors, and then to support them through their publishing contract, whether that's kind of weighing in on the creative, like the covers and the publicity and marketing campaigns, and just making sure that the author's being advocated for and that everything's on the right track to get their book to as many readers as possible.
You mentioned just now that part of that is working with authors through their careers. How much of that weighs into your decision to take someone on at the beginning, or are you really just looking at that first book that they bring to you?
No, so the thing I love about agenting, like absolutely love about it, which I think is the thing that made me move into that role particularly, is that you're not just looking for an author for that one book. You're looking at them for their voice, for their kind of breadth of creative thinking. You're looking for the opportunity to be able to create a space for someone to kind of really share all of their ideas for a very, very long time. And it is very much a creative partnership. So for me, I want authors I can really work with long term and that I can see a real career strategy for over a number of years.
Right. So what kind of manuscripts are you looking for?
Oh, so I think the key areas for me that I kind of look for. So I represent work that tends to fall into the literary, upmarket, or reading group fiction space. I do some narrative nonfiction, but fiction tends to kind of be my heartland. I look for kind of contemporary fiction. So I have a few contemporary fiction authors, historical fiction. I love speculative fiction, things that are slightly weird or a bit different and dystopian.
And how does what you're getting in your inbox match up with what you're looking for? Is there a gap there?
So I think we get really great submissions at the agency that I work at. And it takes a lot of time as an agent to really hone, the way to communicate what you're looking for. But I feel like I'm at a point where I'm really confident about the type of work that I work best with and the types of authors that I know how to add to the careers of. So I think we get a lot of really good stuff. And I think for us, our submissions piles, our submissions inbox really is the bread and butter of the agency. And we get so excited to represent debut authors and find their work that way.
When you get these manuscripts, how polished do you expect a manuscript to be? I mean, we hear all the time about how many drafts novels go through before they get published. What's the ideal state for you to receive a draft in?
The ideal state is always if someone has really taken the time to kind of really polish their work, really get it to a point where they feel as confident as possible to share it. It's the same as kind of, I guess, going for a job interview. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want to be taking your work to a professional in the most professional state that you can bring it to, and then they can bring their collaboration to the best version of your work. That said, I have signed authors who haven't finished their manuscripts. I've signed authors where I've just seen something in the voice and been like, I've got to work with them and I know we could make something really brilliant here. It's not a hard and fast rule either way. But I would say if you're looking to submit, just take the manuscript as far as you can, because that'll be the best place for someone to come and meet it and collaborate with you.
You said earlier that you work with the author on the manuscript before you submit it to publishers. I think how much back and forth is there usually?
I love editing, and I think that some agents are more editorial than others, and that's an important question to ask when you're kind of meeting with agents and finding that right fit for you. I don't like to fix what's not broken also, so if something comes in and it's perfect, we'll kind of do less editing, but I'm very happy to do as much as needed as to get us to the point where that book can be presented to the big publishers. I think that it can often feel easier to work on a book where it needs a lot more work, but you have a clear vision, than a book that doesn't need a huge amount of work, but you're not kind of quite sure how to get it there. So I think it's all about having that creative spark when you're reading something, kind of knowing where could go, and that vision lining up with the author's vision.
Okay, that's the material itself, but what about the approach? When somebody's approaching you, should they just let the material do the talking, or is there a way to approach an agent that will improve a writer's chances of getting a positive response from you?
But I think for most situations, for authors, you have to think when you're sending in your submission. For our agency, I think we get, I don't know, 100 a day, 100, I think. And that's obviously a huge amount of material coming through. Given the amount of material coming through, you have to think about kind of what you can do to make yourself kind of be prioritized, to ensure that you're going to be able to kind of grab someone's attention from the first moment they open your email. So I think anything you can do to really make sure your cover letter feels as considered as possible, that it's really kind of, you've got kind of a back of the book style blurb in there that really makes someone feel drawn in. But for me, I think a big thing is knowing the kind of themes that the manuscript's going to discuss, and if those themes excite me and I really want to learn more about them, that'll make me really want to dive in. At the end of the day, when there is kind of a large volume of work, anything you can do to make it cut through immediately can really help in terms of just bringing it up the pile and making sure that someone's kind of getting eyes on as soon as possible.
And I suppose that cover letter or that email will be indicative to some extent of the kind of relationship you're going to have with the writer. It
is a professional relationship, and having that right kind of professional approach, that right kind of tone where it's kind of friendly, professional, enthusiastic. I love authors who have ambition and excitement about their own work. It makes me feel ambitious and excited about their work. So I think really trying to bring that tone across, and just taking the time to consider it, as I say before, like with a cover letter for a job, taking the time to feel like you're really getting the tone right and getting across what you want to say to grab their attention.
At the festival, you'll be participating in our agent one-on-ones, where writers can spend 10 minutes talking with you about their project. So how should they approach that conversation to get the most out of their time with you?
I would say it's worth taking the time to really write down and refine a kind of, as I said, back of the book style blurb, a kind of a concise pitch that you can share with me, with the agent that you're meeting with, and that gets across your book in a kind of really clear, snappy manner. The kind of thing when you're in a bookshop and you pick up a book, the kind of thing that draws you in. Having that for your own work is a really helpful thing to do, to be able to allow the agent to quickly be like, that's really exciting, tell me more. I think coming with a sense of what your inspiration behind your book, a sense of the kind of novels that you see it sitting alongside on shelves can be really helpful, as it just helps the agent to situate the book really, really quickly. But really, I just come to it with a sense of excitement about your project, a sense of wanting to talk about it, and an openness to sharing the ideas behind it and getting that feedback.
You'll also be on the panel of Literary Idol, which is the kind of grand finale of the festival, in which we'll be reading out the first pages of anonymised manuscripts for gentle, kind, constructive criticism from our experts. A lot of the people watching this will want to submit a page, so can we guide them a little bit? What do you want to see on the opening page of a manuscript?
I think this is such an exciting initiative. There's something so wonderful about being able to just see the first page of someone's work and to kind of be having that deep dive into their head. For me, it's just that voice, isn't it? Like, that's what we all fall in love with when we open a book. That voice, that sense of kind of the author setting you up for the world they're going to draw you into. We know we're not going to get answers on a first page, so what is it that actually draws us in? The tone, the mystery, whatever it is that sets your book off. It's the same with when you open a book yourself. I think just having that sense of atmosphere that hooks you, that's what really excites me.
There's a lot of great tips there. So for people watching who will be coming to the festival, you can select a one-on-one meeting with Olivia on the website. And remember to bring along the first page of your manuscript for some instant helpful feedback from our experts. Olivia, thanks very much for joining us, and see you in Stockholm in August.
See you in Stockholm. Bye.